Hello everyone, welcome to Marlin Chess Kids. Today I'll show the gameplay by Bartol and Matej, and this beautiful game complete in only 28 moves. And let's see how the game play. The game start with a pawn to c4, knight f6, knight to c3, g6. Then the white play g3, and after this bishop to g7 and preparing for a short castling. Then the white also goes to bishop g2. Then the back castling and d3 was played. After this d6, and this is the first 5 moves, and you can see that the position is equal for both sides. And the game continue with the white play e4, trying to gain the pawn and gain control of the center. Then c5 was played, and now the knight g to e2, and here the white also prepared for a castling. Then knight c6 was played, trying to develop, and the white go for a short castling, and now the knight goes to d4, put the knight in the center to have more activity for the black. Then after this move, h3 was played, and now the black play knight to d7, and this rook path indicate the critical path for this knight to play from f6 to d7, then to b8, then next to c6, and we put the knight at e5. So after this move, the white play f4 to prevent the black knight strategy to goes to e5, and after this the knight also goes to b8, and this is the first 10 move, and the position is equal. Then the white continue to play rook to b1, then the knight continue to play knight b to c6. After this, bishop to e3, trying to attack the knight at d4 with 2 pieces, but the black do not push the pawn, instead of playing pawn a6. Then after this move, the white played a g4, and b5 was played, and now the white push the pawn again to f5, trying to attack the pawn at g6, and the black just play bishop to d7. After this, the queen goes to d2 and trying to play a bishop to h6 and exchange off the bishop. So after this move, the pawn just capture the c4 pawn, and now you have the first 15 move, and the black is getting better, slightly better in this position. So here the pawn just capture, and now the knight goes to e5. Now you have 2 knights in the center of the square, and it will be a slightly better for the black, as the knight is control most of the square in the center board. Then b3 was played, trying to protect the pawn, and now the knight just capture the e2 knight and check the king. This, the knight continue to capture, knight takes e2, and after this a5 was played, and the idea was for the pawn to move forward and capture the pawn, and if the rook capture, then the black will win the pawn, a free pawn. So after this move, bishop h6 was played, and now the black just push A4. Then the bishop capture and the king capture. After this, this is the first 20 move, and now the black still slightly better in this position. Then the white play a G5, and with this the pawn just capture. And here it will be wrong if you capture with the rook, because after capture with the rook, the knight will just capture the free pawn. And now if the queen goes to c1 trying to attack the knight, then the knight will just back to e5 position. The reason the queen back to c1 is also the queen want to protect the square from the knight to goes to e3. So after this move, the pawn just capture a takes b3, and after this the rook play rook to a6. Then the queen now have the idea to play queen to f4, then h4, and next goes to h6 and check the king. And also can push the pawn forwards and preparing for checkmate at g7. And this is one of the critical idea that the white can play in this game. A very nice idea from the white. So queen f4 was played, and now the black play e6, and with this now the white just push the pawn forwards and check the king. And this pawn the king cannot capture because it's protected by the pawn at g5. So this will force the king to goes to h8, and now the queen to h4 and preparing to goes to h6 and have a very simple checkmate at g7. And in this game, black thinks that if you move to h6, then you can bring your rook to g8 and prevent the checkmate. Therefore, the black play rook to a2. And after this move, and this is one of the tactical blunder, because now queens to h8, and this will be a complete winning for the white. And the best way to prevent this would be rook to g8. And after this, now you have another idea to bring the rook to f4, then to h4, and the queen will just capture the pawn at h7, and it will be a complete checkmate because the rook cannot come to g7 to protect the pawn. And the knight at this move, we don't have any move where the knight can go to protect the pawn at h7, and the white is clearly winning in this position. So after this move, the white move rook to f4, and now the preparing to go to h4 and it will be checkmate. So after this move, the black play queen to f8, and this move is a tactical blunder again, and with this the white mate and win the game in the next 3 moves. I give a couple of seconds to figure out how the continuation of the white to play and win the game. Well, congratulations for those who found the answer, and for those who like to enjoy the show, Here are the brilliant sacrifice from the white and win the game. And in the actual game, after move 28, and this is a very brilliant sacrifice with the queen. Queen takes the pawn at h7, and with this capture, again nothing can block the checkmate except to capture with the king. And after capture with the king, there's nothing much the black can play. And with this move at the move 28, the black resign the game. And this is one of a very nice sacrifice, a queen sacrifice. And if you want to continue the game, such as a king capture the queen, then now you have a rook to h4, and you can see that this rook maneuver and check the king. And again, the king has no place to escape because the pawn is control the square and the rook is block the king to move. And with this, the king has no place to move except to block with the queen h6, and after move the rook just captures the queen, and it will be a nice checkmate. So back to this position. At this move 27, if you want to play, you just can use the queen to capture the pawn, and this is the only way that would delay the checkmate. And obviously the white is still clearly winning with the extra queen. So if the queen just capture the pawn at f6, then the g pawn will just continue to capture, and this allows the rook to come to h4 and continue checkmate with the queen. So after this move, the black can play a pawn to g5, and this pawn is attacking the rook as well as prevent the rook to h4 and checkmate. So after this move, the white can just play a rook to f2 to protect the knight, and then now the black can just play rook to a6, trying to protect the pawn as well. Then the queen can go to h5, continue to attack the pawn if the knight move away. And obviously the knight in the center is quite strong, he can able to protect the pawn at f7. So after this move, the only way would be just play a rook to d1 to attack the pawn, or you can double up to attack, because this is the very weak pawn for the black. So after this, you can just play something like bishop to c8. Then after this, the knight continue to move forward and attack, such as knight to c3, and then you can have a knight to b5 and attack the pawn and bring up the two rook to attack and go for the action, since the white have the extra queen. So after this move, you can just play a bishop to d7, then rook continue to d2, then if you play a rook to g6 trying to attack the pawn, and you can just double up and trying to capture the pawn. So after this, you can play h6, and here the rook will just continue and able to attack and go for the action. And after a series of action, the white will be winning with solely with the extra queen. So after rook capture, then the rook capture, then you have the rook and the bishop into the action. So at this position, you can see that the white will be clearly winning in the game. So for this game, the most beautiful idea and sacrifice is at this position. where the rook from come to f4 and have the idea to checkmate the king, while the queen is from this position goes to here and go to h6, and with the idea to checkmate the king. So with this, thank you.